Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to our brand new web series, Middle School Moments, where we take a few moments just for middle schoolers. So, if you're watching this and you're not a middle schooler, get out of here. I mean, scram. This is for middle school students right now. This is for my people. We just want to talk about some stuff that is weird, wild, wonderful, from the Bible, from our personal lives, whatever that may be, and just hang out together for a few moments. We'll start with a weird story. I love cereal. And I think that's a surprise to no one, but cereal is awesome. So I was drinking the milk, which also out of the bowl, which if you don't drink the milk out of the bowl, what are you doing? I had Honey Nut Cheerios. I look, there are 4 Cheerios right there. As I take a sip, something distracts me, I cough. I look down, there are now 3 Cheerios left in the bowl. I don't know what happened to the 4th. Maybe I just swallowed it in all the commotion. 3 Cheerios left. And then I noticed that I can't breathe as well as I had been. I would try to like exhale through my nose, and there was just this slight whistle sound coming. And then I tried to breathe in real deep, and then there was just kind of like nothing was going in. And so I thought, oh no. I grab a napkin, blow my nose as hard as I can, and then boom, the 4th Cheerio appears. Now, I'm sure you're like, wow, that's a fun story from when you were a middle schooler. This happened like 3 weeks ago on a Tuesday morning with my daughter sitting to my right. And I had to explain to her, no, baby, you won't have Honey Nut Cheerio boogers. That's just daddy's problem right now. It's really hard to feel cool about everything that you're doing when you shoot Honey Nut Cheerios out of your nose. You kids, I hate to tell you, but you're never too old to like cough as you're finishing your milk and cereal and then have a Cheerio come through your nose. Anyway, speaking of humility and a humbling experience, we are going to read from 2 Peter chapter 5, 1 Peter 5, verses 5, 6, and 7. It's right here. And if that looked cool, I did it. And if it looked lame, Reed did it. All right, here we go. In the same way, you who are younger, submit yourselves to your elders. All of you, clothe yourselves with humility toward one another, because God opposes the proud, but shows favor to the humble. Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time, and cast all your anxiety on him, because he cares for you. Now, a couple things here. A lot in those, a lot of rich stuff in those few verses. Number one, what does it mean to be humble? I think it's really, I think maybe we overcomplicate it a lot. We're just like, well, he's not very humble, or I don't know how to be humble. I think humble is just being a follower of God and just caring about other people. And Peter here is talking about in the context of relationships with one another. So like if I think about in the context of practicing humility with my wife, okay, the closest relationship I have on this earth. Practicing humility with my wife may look like just random acts of service. Just maybe the kitchen needs to be tidied up. Maybe the vacuum needs to be run. Maybe there's laundry needs to be done. Maybe these little acts of service is just saying, you know what, I'm not too good to do those things, but actually I have time, I have the ability, and that's who I love. I think part of being humble is loving without expectation for it to be returned to you. Like this is just my gift. Like I'm not too big or too old or too good to run the vacuum. I'm just going to do it, not expect anything in return, but just do it as like a random act of love. I think that's maybe what Peter's talking about here is just be humble, practice humility, and just kind of give stuff away, either time or service or love or grace or whatever that looks like. But we don't have to overcomplicate being humble. God opposes the proud. God opposes the proud. Now, if you've grown up in church your entire, the entire time you've been here, you've heard that like you can never do anything, like God's always going to love you. You can never escape, the love of God. I think all that is very, very true. But here we read that like actually God is against something. God opposes the proud. So God is against pride, because when we have pride, that means we're the one that's in charge, right? Like if you are a proud person, like you're running the show, you're calling the shots, you're not listening to anybody. Maybe you're too good for some of these little menial tasks. Going back to the previous example of my wife, if I acted proudly, I would say things just like, why would I have to clean up the kitchen? That ain't my job. It's 2020. Men can do dishes as well. And I'm very good at it, by the way. No one loads the dishwasher as well as me. But God opposes the proud, so God opposes those that get in the way of this relationship. If you are a prideful person, how can you really be in love with God? How can we be in love with this all-knowing creator God that has given us the world and a way back to Him if we refuse to listen? If we refuse to spend time with Him, if we refuse to say, you know what, you know more than I do, I don't need it, I got it. I think that's what Peter's talking about here is God opposes the proud because God just wants to be with you. And a pathway to being with God is from humility. So God opposes the proud but shows favor to the humble. So those that are willing to listen to God, those that just want to be with Him, those are simply to be there without expectation of a return, of just saying, God, you're loving, you're gracious, you're kind, you're enough, and I'm enough in you. Verse 7, cast all your anxiety on Him because He cares for you. Cast all of your anxiety onto Him because He cares for you. God is big enough for anything that you can throw at Him. Whatever you have, whatever you're experiencing in your life, God wants it. Not to just like have it and be like, ooh, look at all the problems I have. No, God wants it because He wants to take care of you. Like that's the second part of that. Cast all your anxiety onto Him because God cares for you. That is God, when you are in trouble, when you're feeling anxious or when you're feeling that everything's not, going your way. That is a God that kind of comes alongside, wraps His arm around you, is just like, what's going on? How can I help? What can I care for you? Or what can I take from you to help lighten the load, to carry this with you, to support you, to love you? Because you matter to me. You matter so much to God that you can have conversations with God. You can have prayer times with Him that are loud, that are angry, that are very informal, that follow no pattern, that are just raw, that's just real emotional right now, that just seems so crazy and maybe even mean and loud, and you just want to like throw stuff. I'm not saying God wants you to punch a hole in your bedroom wall. I'm not saying that at all. Don't hear that. But with that kind of energy, you're free to talk to God about. You're free to just give Him your anxiety and everything that's going on because He cares about you and He wants those things because He just wants to love you. I pray we approach God and we approach our relationships with humility of just saying, you know what, I'm here. There's no expectation in return. I just want to love you and to be with you. And two, I hope we're brave enough to just give God everything we've got with everything we've got, no matter what that looks like, because our God is big enough to take that, to handle that, and to love us after that. Hey, thanks for joining me. We'll see you very, very soon.